Hello everyone, so I heard that you are having trouble defeating the Slay the Spire. So maybe you're having trouble getting to Act 3 or maybe even Act 2 and you just feel like this game just keeps giving you these super tough bosses that you just can't defeat. Well, don't worry about it, because I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you show the game who the real boss is, you. Hello everyone, today we're going to be fighting against the Time Eater. The Time Eater is very interesting because he has this time warp ability where whenever you play 12 cards your turn is ended and Time Eater gains 2 strength. I have found in my experience that the strength isn't really much of a problem because even though he becomes stronger you're usually still able to kill it and his attacks aren't that bad even with the additional strength. But the problem is that it ends your turn because often enough what happens is that I'm like, and the previous turn it's something like a card 10 or 12, or 11, sorry, not 12, and then the next turn I can only use like one card, which means I'm not able to defend myself. This is gonna be really interesting, and usually I play against him with the strength deck of cards or like a defense oriented with barricade and stuff, but this time I actually have a deck of cards that's gonna make me use quite a lot of cards per turn because I do have cards like Madness that make stuff free and so on, so that's why it's gonna be quite interesting because this enemy is built to fight against deck of cards that need a lot of cards. When you're using like plenty of cards per turn, that's what it's made to fight against. That's when this enemy is hard to kill, when you can, because it's gonna end your turns and so on. Now, usually I don't have a deck of cards that need me to lose quite a lot of cards per turn, so this is gonna be really interesting. And you see that now it says 9, so in best case scenario I'd like to use exactly 3 cards, but which I actually can do. See, this is another tip that I wanted to say. If you need to use a lot of cards, what you want to do is you want to kind of time it up to exactly 12. So I'm going to use Strike, Armaments, and now I'm going to use the Whirlwind because normally I would just end the turn because the Whirlwind does nothing. And next turn I would only be able to use 1 card, but you want to use even this like useless cards like Whirlwind just so that you can end the turn at exactly the right moment. And it has the increased strength that, like I said, isn't great. But it's not that bad for us though. We should be able to kill him before it becomes too problematic. And he also has this draw reduction ability where you draw 1 less card next turn. So this is, again, like I said, the whole point of this enemy. It's gonna hurt you if you cannot use enough cards. And you see, again, I'm timing it out so that I can get to exactly 12 cards and the turn. And I guess this is kind of like the point. The strength thing is important now because if you're using like a barricade build, you're maybe gonna increase its strength to 4 or 6 or maybe 8 max and nothing else. But if I'm kind of timing this like I am at the moment, you can see that the strength is actually going up quite a bit. That's why there is the additional like strength ability to him so that it can still kind of punish us for using too many cards. Because otherwise I think it might be like too easy to time it or something. And I have the Unceasing Top, which is helping quite a bit. Like this would not be possible if I didn't have this card. So. Now I'm gonna get quite a lot of damage, but and see that we have a strength of 40. 22 times 5 is not 153, but it's quite close. 130 is actually. I do it anyway. He heals for 200 for like half his HP when he's like close to being killed, obviously. When else would he heal, right? So you do want to kind of watch out for that. You don't want to do any like too risky moves. He has a fairly high attack, like you can see there's like 3 times 16 or something like that, so attacks are quite a bit, but if you compare it to something like Donu and Deka, they do much higher, especially like, you know, once their strength increases they can do much higher damage, so Yeah, he's mostly created to fight against Nordic cards. So if you have like a strength build or a barricade build or any kind of build where you don't need to use too many cards, watch out the number that it was down here, because the number tells you like how many cards you can use, and you want to kind of time it out. You want to make sure that you have like at least 2 cards per turn. So if you're like 10 or 9, really kind of watch out for which card are you going to use, or try to get to 12, but it's quite harder if you don't have like a 0 cost cards. And if you have this sort of more 0 cost card deck of cards like I do, a great thing is if you can get the unceasing top, like maybe buying it so that you can, especially if you have things like anger, because then you can like exactly time it to 12. Because you're just gonna keep using anger cards or other 0 cost cards. So unceasing top is fantastic. If you can't have that, try to get cards that let you draw additional cards, like, you know, battle trance or other things that just cost 0 or 1 energy and lets you get more cards. Because when you have that, you can still kind of count the number of cards you're gonna use and get to the number of 12 or 6 and then next turn to 12, because it's going to be quite important. Don't forget that he heals and you do have to draw reduction, which I found is actually more problematic with the barricade and stuff builds, because with this one usually you have something that lets you draw more cards anyways. So yeah, and don't be afraid to use cards that are useless like I did with the Whirlwind, because counting the number of cards is more important than whether the card did something or not. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, tell me what is your strategy against the Time Eater? How hard do you find him? What do you do to kill him? Write it down in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye bye!